Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jackie and today I am here to do my February TBR. So in the month of February I'm going to be sticking to the way I formatted my TBR for January. If you guys haven't seen that video, I will link it down below. And that is, I'm going to have 3 different books I pick. I will have my current read, my one book from the library, a review book, and then also have a TBR jar pick at the end of the month. So I formatted my TBR once again like that, and I also have a couple of other books that I want to reread this year in this month. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in and get started. So the first book I have to talk about is the book I am currently reading. That is Other Worlds by Jason Segel and Kristen Miller. This is the YA science fiction novel that follows our main character Simon, who is living in a world where this video game called Other Worlds has taken the world by storm. Everybody has been playing this game. And one day his best friend, who's also our love interest in this book, is in a horrible accident that leaves her in a comatose state. And the only way that Simon is able to communicate with her and help, kind of save her in a way, is to go into the world of Otherworld and, communicate with her that way. I am about 150 pages into this book. I am really, really liking it. It's kind of getting me engrossed into the world of video games, which is something I'm not very knowledgeable about. I honestly don't know much about video games. I played a lot when I was younger, but not so much anymore. So I am very excited to see where this book wraps up. It is very, very good. I'm very impressed with it so far. So that is what I am currently reading. Next, moving on to my library book of the month, and this is a very, very big book, and that is City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. This is the 6th and final book in the Mortal Instruments series. Now, if you guys have been following my channel for a while now, you probably know my feelings on the Mortal Instruments, but if you guys are new, I have had a very love-hate relationship with this series since I read the 4th book. I've read all of the books, including the Infernal Devices in the Shadowhunter world, up to book number 6. The Infernal Devices I've loved. The first 3 books in the Mortal Instruments I've loved, but the last 2 I have not been impressed with at all. So I'm hoping that this 6th and final book will make me very happy and not go into the rest of the Shadowhunter books, because I do plan on continuing with the Shadowhunter world after this book with negative feelings about this, because I do want to do an entire review of all the Shadowhunter books eventually, so we will see how this turns out. And the last actual book that I have to talk about today is Focus the Emptiness by Michael P. Staples. This is going to be my review book of the month. This book I have had for almost 2 years now, and I still haven't read it, and I feel very bad about this. Oh, I want to get to this month. This is a non-fiction book, but I guess it reads like a thriller in a way. So that sounds very interesting. It's also extremely short, so I could probably finish this in one sitting, and I also love the cover. So that is that. Now, going on to the books I plan on rereading this month. I have 2 in particular. So the first one is, I need a contemporary for this month, because obviously February we celebrate Valentine's Day, so I wanted to have a contemporary in this month, TBR. Now, the contemporary I've chosen isn't YA. It's not a fluffy, contemporary book by any means. The book I'm talking about is Grey by Pete Wentz. Anybody who has been following my channel for a while knows that this is my favorite book of all time. This is an adult contemporary book that follows a character who is in a very unhealthy relationship, and it follows him. He is a rock star, because Pete Wentz himself is also a rock star. He's the bassist and lyricist for the band Fall Out Boy. So I'm pretty sure Pete based some of the things that are in this book off of his own personal experiences, which I really like when authors include those experiences in their books. I read this almost 3 years ago now, and I read it at a time in my life where I was going through a lot emotionally, and I was just not in the right state of mind. I picked this book up. It changed my life. It's the reason I'm on book 2, but I do have an entire review of it on my channel. Being warned, it's like one of the first videos I ever did, so it's kind of cringeworthy, and I do want to redo it eventually. I'll have a link down below if you guys are interested in checking it out, but I need to reread this. I feel like right now in my life, I'm going through a lot emotionally. I've talked about that in a couple of my reading vlogs. but I think this book will definitely put me in a better mood, even though it is dark and it isn't, the most happiest thing. It does deal with topics such as depression and suicide, so if you guys are interested in picking this up, just be warned about that. And the last book I have on my TBR, before I get into the TBR jar pick, is a book I want to reread because I want to reread all 3 books in this series that are out right now before the 4th one comes out in May, and that is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. If you guys saw in my wrap-ups last year, the ACOTAR trilogy has now become one of my favorite series of all time. I fell head over heels in love with this series last year, and I can't get it out of my mind at this point. The 4th book in this series is kind of hard to explain. If you guys haven't read the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, there is the first 3 books, which I believe are entire separate trilogy than any of the rest. Now we have a 4th book, which is actually a novella that comes out in May, and the rest of the books are going to be their own separate trilogy. I believe that's how it's going to work out. So I need to reread these first 3 books to get myself prepared for that next book, because I don't know if I am emotionally. Also, if you guys are not familiar with the ACOTAR trilogy, this first book is actually a Beauty and the Beast retelling. It is a new adult high fantasy series that deals with fae and trigger warnings. There is an abusive relationship, especially in this first book, that kind of transitions into the 2nd book as well. So just be warned about that going in. But there's just something magical about this series that really has captured my heart, and I believe it might be turned into a movie. I know the rights got sold a few years ago, but I could definitely see this as a movie or a TV show. So I'm really excited to reread this once again. I think I reread it a couple of times throughout the year last year that I didn't talk about my wrap-ups, but I need to reread this again. So now we have one last book to talk about, and that is my TBR jar pick of the month. So I'm going to go ahead and shake this up and pick a title off of my TBR shelf. This is my TBR shelf, if you guys aren't familiar. So let's pick one out. Two there, okay. So the book I have picked out is actually a review book. Oh, that's exciting. That is Retrograde by Peter Crotton. So let me grab that. It's right here. This is a science fiction book that kind of reminds me of The Martian by Andy Weir, just from the premise alone. It follows 3 characters actually who are trapped on a mission to Mars, and they get stuck there, and something happens on Earth that they aren't there to prevent. So it follows them as they try to get back to Earth, and that is my TBR jar pick of the month of February. And before I let you guys go, I just remembered I have one more book to talk about, and that is the Chapter by Chapter book club pick of the month for the month of February. So if you guys don't know what Chapter by Chapter is my book club that I run over on Goodreads. I will have a link to it down below if you guys are interested in checking us out. But we just started back in January, and our very first book of the month pick will be for February, and that is The Bells by Danielle Clayton. This is a YA fantasy novel that comes out on February 6th, and this follows our main character Camilla, who lives in a world where the people called the Bells are able to control beauty. All people are born morally gray, and only the people called the Bells are able to control beauty. So our main character Camilla, is trying to become the top Belle. So if that sounds interesting to you guys, please come and join us. The link is, like I said, down below. Come and join us. We have a lot of discussion posts about this book. So again, the link is down below. And that is all I have for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to give a big thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already. I'll be sure to have all the links to these books down below that I mentioned in this video. Again, those will all be linked down below, along with all my social media links. Those will include my Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads, blog, and the link to the book club. Again, those are always linked down below. With all being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you soon for another video. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye!